Hi, my name is Ryan, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to simplify expressions with exponents. So let's just start off with x to the fourth and y to the second all over x to the 2, and let's go y to the 3. Alright, so what you're trying to basically get is only one of each. So you want one x and one y, either on the top or the bottom. So let's make this a little bit easier in understanding. So what's basically happening is it's x times x times x times x times y, all over x times x times y times y times y. And now what you want to do is basically cross off all the ones that go to it. So that will leave you with x to the 2 over y. Kind of interesting. But a better way to do this is basically understanding how there's a little bit of a shortcut. So what you want to look for is the biggest. So there's a 4 up here and there's a 3 down here. So what you want to do with those numbers is basically you want to take the littler one, which is this one and this one. So the x and the x go together and the y go together. So what you want to do is basically move it down. But when you move it down or move it up, it's going to flip. So since these are positives, when you move it down, it's going to turn into a negative. So this will turn into y because 3 minus 2 equals 1. So that will simplify it to just y, and that will stay at the bottom. And then when you do the same for this one, where you move the littler one to the greater one, this will turn into 4 minus 2, or x to the 2. And look at that, that's the same exact answer. Alright, now let's try a different one. So let's say we have 2x to the 3 over 5x. So you're probably thinking, okay, same thing, right? So we got the 3 and then maybe something else over there. But what a lot of people actually mix up on is they move the 5 with it. If we look at a normal problem, 2 over 5, you wouldn't move the 2 down. No, you would just leave it there. That's your answer. But when it comes to like x's and y's and sometimes z's or any other letter, you want to move them. So this would stay at 2 over 5, and you would move the smaller one up and flip it, so it would be a negative. So this would be x to the 2. Simpler and simpler it seems to be. So let's try another one. Let's try x minus 1 to the negative 1 over x to the 3rd. So what you're doing here is you're kind of a little more confused because it's a negative. But don't get too discouraged yet. So you still look for the bigger one, which is x, and negative 1 is smaller, but when you move it, like I said before, usually it would be 3 minus 1, but for this instance, it's a negative, so it would be 3 minus 1, which turns into a positive. If you've ever seen someone do that, it's kind of funny. It turns into a happy face, but it would be a plus 1. So this, since you're moving the x down, it would be x to the 4th, and since there's nothing up here, it would just be a 1, since technically this is 1 and this is 1. But we don't always think about that. Alright, let's try one more. So we got x to the 2 over x to the 5, all under negative 1. So this is what I see. I call this an earthquake because I don't really know why. It's just I kind of like the word earthquake, just because it shakes everything. When you put this negative 1 here, you have to flip everything. So there's two ways you can do this one. First off, you could do the usual where you start off and say there's the bigger one, there's the smaller one, x to the third over 1, and then that to -1. Or what you could do is you could just start off with the next step and then do this step after. So after this, what you do is you do the earthquake, I call it, which you basically flip everything. So this would be x to the third over 1. So like I said, the other way you could do it is you could start off with the earthquake, I call it, and then you do the flip, where you take the greater one minus by the smaller one, so that would get you the exact same answer. This is also equal to x to the third. So kind of cool right there. So that's kind of how to, simplify expressions. And basically whenever you see this negative sign out of the bracket, you want to flip them both. If you see a negative sign in here or here, you basically want to do it the other way around. So that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really nothing more to it. Let's go ahead and try this. I just kind of wrote it there, but let's go ahead and try this. So what if we have x to the -2 over x to the -5? So what you first want to do is you want to look at it and say, okay, what am I doing? I want them to be positive because I don't really want a negative. That's just going to make things more confusing. So let's start off. So we have a negative, so if we flip it, it's going to be a positive. And now we have x to the -2 over x to the 5. So that we could do that. So if we wanted to, we could have originally flipped both, which would be x to the 2, and then we'd move it back up, just like that, and that would give us x to the third. So another one, it was also before we had x to the -2 and x to the 5, since we moved it up. That's the exact same thing, 5 minus 2, that's equal to x to the third. So it's kind of a little interesting, these kind of problems, but they kind of get used to it, It's kind of a little simple once you get going on them, and once you get used to them. There's not really that much to it. And the same thing, if there's a Y or a Z or maybe some other letter, you do the exact same thing. You want them to turn into positive numbers, and you want it to be only 1. So that's really it for this video. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and if there's maybe something else you guys want help with, and I'll be sure to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.